So after the gestation becomes the most beautiful part of the horse business, in my opinion, is the foaling. The foaling usually happens at nighttime, and in a stall or in warmer climates such as Australia that they foal outside. And sorry, back to the conception. In thoroughbreds, you can only breed with live cover. There's no artificial insemination. In other breeds there are, but not in thoroughbreds. So the mare foals, and it's just one of the most beautiful things you'd ever see in your life. If it's a healthy foal, within 45 minutes, he or she is standing up, and within the hour and a half, nursing. They're usually between 80 to 130 pounds. Your normal foal would be about 110, 120 pounds. So within 2 days, they're actually going out with the mare and running around with the mare, which is really incredible that they're running around, and that's another just beautiful thing to see. So if you can get to a breeding farm and can see this, you need to. So you're constantly kind of touching them. All the while, usually the mare is very protective of her baby, and before long, you're turning all these mares and foals out with other mares and foals. You're talking months old now. So they're turned out. They're with their mares, with other mares, and they're usually getting hurt or kicking the fence or kicking themselves, and you're constantly, they're like teenage kids, really. And then you get to the point about 6 months, 6, 7, 8 months, where you start to wean them, and the weaning process is it goes like this. You've got 10 mares with their babies out in the field, and you pluck out one mare, and that foal kind of looks around and says, "Where's mom?" And she's not there anymore. So he goes and buddies up with another one of his buddies, and it goes like that. And then a couple days later, you pluck out another mare, and by the end, you've got 10 buddies, and they're all kind of hanging out. Usually by November, they're all kind of, at least at our farm, they're moved to the what's called the yearling division, where from that point until right now, they become yearlings and they're prepped for the sale, which is what Meg Levy of Blue Water Sales, who has horses here, please buy one or two. She's going to talk about from after they're weaned to when they come to the sale. So thank you again, and here's Meg Levy.
Hi, everybody. As he said, I'm Meg Levy, Blue Water Sales. We also have a farm in Kentucky, so we're very familiar with this process. I love the way Case described it. Very entertaining, you know. What he didn't tell you was that there's considerable pressure and worry and concern behind all of these things, you know, when you are going through these processes, because, you know, you've made all the decisions so far. By the time your mare foals, if you're there personally, especially, you have a lot of hopes and dreams and expectations attached to that animal. And by the time they do end up, as he said, like teenagers, I think it's more like toddlers, really. You know, you have to watch your kids fall down and hurt themselves, and it's all part of the process. So I guess the point of our talk today is just so that you all know what we go through as professionals in this business. You know, when we show up here at Saratoga, it looks so exciting and glamorous and fun, and it's all part of the whole game. You know, we're trying to produce racehorses as well as produce sale products, and that's where my job, which our farm does produce foals, but we also, you know, we specialize in prepping. So by the time we get horses, we have not raised many of the horses that come to us, and they come from all kinds of different operations. Some of them, you know, might be backyard farms, or whether they're regional or, you know, in Kentucky. They might have been raised with 2 horses. They might have been raised with a large herd coming from a big commercial farm, and they've all had different backgrounds. Kind of feel like maybe a first-grade teacher, when I come into it. Most of the horses I've seen on their home farm, so I am familiar with, their background, and going through these rings, whether it's Saratoga or September, wherever it is, it's a very stressful process on these animals. They've been separated from their mothers. In many ways, they've been separated from their buddies that they knew at home, so they come into the barn. They get separated into groups. We may be, at that point, trying to figure out where they're going to be placed. So we have, even though Saratoga, I think, is the best yearling sale around, not all of them are going to qualify for Saratoga, so we have to worry about placing them in different spots. So it's almost like planning your kids' college career, when they're 4 years old. You've got to figure out where they need to be in a certain amount of months. Some horses come in completely unhandled. Some horses come in with lots of experience. So basically, once we decide what sales they're going to go in, which is all a matter of expectations, and you look at pedigree as well, which I think we're going to look at a horse that I'm selling a little bit later, so you all will be able to see his pedigree. As Case was saying, it's a matter of pen and pencil, figuring out where that horse is going to be most marketable, and the owner is going to, hopefully receive the most remuneration for. So once we have all that set and decide what sale they're going to, we teach them, in many cases, how to lead, how to walk, how to be separated from their buddies. The colts get separated oftentimes in April of their yearling year because, the girls and the boys, there begins to be issues. So, depending on the foaling dates of the horses, you just look at, what you think is going to be best. What we have to balance as consigners and, farm owners and professionals is the risk versus the keeping the horse in the natural way that it was meant to be. Horses are herd animals, so you don't want to separate them too quickly from their counterparts. You want to let them be horses for as long as you possibly can, because obviously that's what they're meant to do. They have to learn to race by playing, So when the colts do get separated, many farms in Kentucky have individual paddocks for the colts. In our farm, which actually was designed by Clay's family, we have 14 yearling paddocks that are all individual. So we have 14 yearlings in a line of 7, and then a line of 7 all together. So when those horses are turned out at night, they still have buddies to play with, and they exercise and express their maleness in many ways. And then the fillies stay together. So we usually separate them depending on what sale they're going to go to, and by foaling date if we can, because sometimes you get an alpha female out there, which can also cause problems. So what we're trying to do is just allow them to be, as natural as they can be, gain some racing ability, some experience with, playing with their buddies, but also keep them from getting any nicks, scratches, bruises, whatever, because it seems strange, but the tiniest little flaw, whether it be, on their coat, a bruise, a little cut, anything, a little scar even, although it won't affect their racing performance, it can drastically affect their results in the sale ring.